you do to overcome failure?
Failure. I failed at something. Or, I'm a failure, right? And there's a difference between those two frames of mind. I failed at something versus I am something. Hi everyone! This is a podcast with two Asian American women
Sharing and learning about everyday life experiences cross-generationally.
Hi everyone!
Okay, so today is going to be kind of fun, a little bit more about learning, I guess, about me and Ely generationally. So our podcast team is made primarily of Gen Zs, besides myself and Ely. And they had thought that it would be fun if they gave us some kind of questions about life and everyday living, and that we could answer based on each of our generations and how we traveled through our lives. And we thought it would kind of be fun. So
yeah, I think their point too, to your point, Ellen, I love this idea because I wish I had some of this advice from the questions we saw a few questions come through, and they're great because they want to learn. They want to learn from the different generations and hear our perspectives, because I think it's great that they can learn instead of learning themselves from mistakes. Kind of thing.
And then on. Yeah, so I was at a wedding this past weekend, and this exercise resonated with me because I'm like, man, I would have done this differently, and I would have done that differently,
Yes.
So that was, to me, what was kind of neat about this exercise that we're gonna do.
So we're excited. Thank you to our team for coming up with this fun idea,
and in particular, Angie.
Yes.
Thank you,
Angie.
Okay, so let us start. I'm going to ask you the first question. And I haven't seen these, I literally I'm just now looking at it. So we'll see how well I do. But the first question, Ely, is how did you overcome failure, whether it's failure in relationships, career, and we can expound on it if we want to. So what did you do to overcome failure?
Failure. I feel like that is such a common word and something for me that I felt at so many points in my life. I think failure can have a bad connotation. I failed at something, or I'm a failure, right? And there's a difference between those two frames of mind. I failed at something versus I am something. I am a failure versus I failed at something. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so kind of knowing that difference, because sometimes we put words on ourselves that can become our identity. So from the coaching background, kind of knowing and understanding that aspect of it, but also looking at failure not as failure, because when I was in my 20s and teens in college years and adolescence, I was so hard on myself, and that would cause me so much pain, sadness, tears. And so when I was out of college, in my second job out of college, and I interviewed for a position that I worked many years to try to get this position. It was a pay grade level raise. So if you got that, then you got a raise too. And I was put so much pressure on myself, and I bombed. I did not get it. And that just hurt. It was almost like, how can I even move on? I don't know if anybody's ever felt that way before, or you felt that way before. But from there, I still didn't have this mindset that I'm about to share with you, but I wish I did. If I would have looked at it as, instead of a failure, which I looked at it as, if I would have looked at it now, I would have seen it as an opportunity. So not necessarily thinking of things as failures. It's either like winning or learning instead of winning or failing. So I think that for me was really so helpful that I learned in my 30s, and I wish I would have known sooner. What about you?
I definitely agree, because the word that really jumped out at me with your answer is the learning piece.
Yeah.
Like, take it as a learning. So because Ely, you talk primarily more about career, like me, relationship, I'll answer in a relationship part. What did I do when, I broke up with my longtime boyfriend of 5 years?
Yeah.
Was that a failure? I cried, I boo-hooed, I didn't eat, I did all of that stuff. But to me, when I look back at it now, was it really a failure? I mean, now that I'm happily married, I'm like, thank goodness, that it was, But to me, it was more of an experience.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I really want to tell folks, tell the 20-somethings, tell the Gen Zs, is that if you look at things that, that it's part of the experience, it's part of that journey, then it's not so bad.
I love that. No, and you bring up a good point, because you said, now I'm happily married, but in that moment in time, you think there is nothing else.
You think that the world is going to end.
Yes,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think that part of the learning of that is, if you put it in your mindset that it's only going to make you stronger, or it's only going to make you better for when the next hurdle comes along.
Yep.
I think that, and again, I'm not saying that it's not going to hurt. I'm not saying that it's not going to be hard.
Yeah.
All of those elements are going to become a factor.
Right.
But it's how you, and even in how you deal with it, like, you have to stay strong in your mind. That's the number one thing. Is you need to stay strong, both. Oops, sorry, editor. I just keep touching the microphone. But you have to remain strong on the inside, really strong on the inside. How are you going to get through this?
Right.
And how are you going to battle through that? And that's to me is what is so important.
Right. Realizing that it's a chapter of your life and not the ending.
The ending of your life. It doesn't make your whole life. It's just this one little sliver piece. It's just a page in your book.
Yes, exactly. And how many times have you felt that it was just the end of the world, but then you look back at it and you think, well, that was a blessing.
Mm-hmm. A big time. Like, just relationships. Just relationships. Like, how many boyfriends does one have? And I'm not in any way, saying, well, I have a lot of boyfriends.
Right.
For me, I want to say have a lot of, I don't know, that's just me. I mean, some parents, they go, oh my God, she didn't go there. But to me, it's just like, I embrace relationships. And I think that there's growth in everything, So kudos to those that found the right one, their whole life. And kudos to you, I think that's wonderful. Like, my parents, almost 60 years of marriage.
Wow, that's incredible.
So to me, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And awesome. So, but anyways, okay.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, next question. If there was one thing, Ellen, you could have done differently, what is it and why? If you don't wish anything changed, why do you feel this way?
So if there was one thing I could have done differently. Prior to me being a realtor, I was a counselor, mentor, teacher, however way you want to define that, at a university system, and I oversaw a whole lot of students. And there was one student in particular, and I'm going to say the name. If by chance she is listening to this, Claudia. I'm not going to say the last name, but Claudia. Claudia came to me asking for a reference
Okay.
for an organization of which, I did not think that they could handle
Okay.
that another thing on their plate.
Yeah.
And, but who am I to make that decision? And I said no. And I was so strong in forcing that, no, you should not do this. And until now, I remember this to me, I think is, I should not have been that. I should have made that up to them to decide.
Yeah.
And if they fail, then they fail.
Yeah.
Instead of not supporting them in that decision.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
And
yeah.
so to me, that is my number one most, if I would have done it differently, I would have said, okay, go and do it. And I'm here and I'm behind you. And if they did not at all excel in it, or if they slipped in any way, then I would have been there behind them. I would have shown I guess what I'm trying to say is I would have shown my backing them up in a different way than saying no.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think it's kind of related to parenting a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Like parenting, you can either show them the way or help them learn and be there as a support, even though you might know that answer ahead of time.
Big time.
Is this ringing a bell? Yeah, so, but similar to that, right? Because sometimes we want to give our kids the answers to everything. Yes. I want them to learn from our mistakes versus their versus learning.
I don't want them to get hurt. I don't want them in pain. I don't want them, I'm trying to soften, like here is the road.
Yeah.
But
and
no.
We all mean well with that, but we also see the aspect of them learning, because sometimes when you push something on someone, they want to push back.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So it's interesting, but I love that example and that thought, and potentially related to many other subjects. For me, if I could have done something differently, of course there'd be many things I would have done differently, but on that same token, I don't think I would have changed anything. If that makes sense. Because yes, looking back, I would have done something different, many things differently, but I also learned from those too, going back to that learning experience and knowing that it was part of my picture now.
Right.
It's harder to see when you're in those situations, but knowing that mistakes, challenges, those are those are parts of life, right?
And I think that that's the one thing, maybe that main message is, you folks, the younger folks, you younger folks listening out there, if you have it in the docket that it's not always going to be roses.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be the wonderful sunny days. It's just not.
Yeah.
And if you put it kind of on the, back burner, that there will be those cloudy, rainy days, on the horizon, and to consistently know that there might be those cloudy, rainy days. How will I deal with it when that time comes? Be prepared for also the cloudy, rainy days, instead of like giving up. And I'm not saying that you can't cry.
Yeah.
I boo-hooed, boo-hooed like crazy for months on end. But because I was never prepared for that.
Yeah.
Instead, I was like, oh my God, my world is going to end,
Yeah.
Then it was longer. Then it hurt more. Then it was, so to me, it was just the being prepared for those cloudy, rainy days.
Yes. Nice. I like that.
Okay. Third question is, what is one thing that you wish you knew sooner?
Just one?
That's
No,
what it says here.
I'm
one
kidding.
thing that I wish that I knew sooner.
So many things, for sure. But if I only had to name one, it would be that, how do I put it? It would be to love myself, that I was lovable at that time. I think in my 20s, my teens, I felt like I needed to maybe be someone else, or I felt like definitely didn't love myself. I know it sounds like a weird word to say, like, I love myself, right? It feels weird saying that. I mean, it used to feel really weird, but now I do. And I think that that's part of like self-worth. So I would have really worked on getting, whether it's, for me, it was a coach who helped me there and get that, but whatever avenue to work on loving ourselves. I think that a lot of things stem from loving ourselves or not loving ourselves. At least in my experience, a lot of things stemmed, a lot of the decisions I made would have been different if I loved myself. I came from a place of complete, like, I knew I was worthy, I knew I was loved, inherently loved, not because others loved me, but because I knew inherently I was loved. I think I would have made different decisions in relationships, in career, in so many aspects of life, just from that one thing.
When I look at you and when I hesitate, it's not because I don't agree or anything. For me, it's the whole generational thing, because when I listen to this question, and even when you're with your answer, I'm like, but I'm Gen X, and during my time, we don't do that.
And that's a good point.
Do you know what I'm saying? We don't do that. We
Yes.
have to be the strength. We have to be the ones that persevere. We're the ones that have to find a way to.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the beauty of even this exercise.
Exactly.
Is your answer is so different from my answer, and not even because of two different people, because yes, there's that, but the whole generational,
for sure.
The whole generation piece.
Yes, Gen X, Gen Y answers. Of course, some of them might be different than yours if you're Gen X or Gen Y too, but that is interesting because you are probably like, I don't get it.
Right.
That doesn't
I'm like,
even
what?
make sense.
What?
Even make sense. Okay, what's yours?
For me, what is the one thing that I wish I knew sooner? Taking it back to not just parent, but to me, it's like about expectations, right? Parenting is a big thing, obviously. And my kids now are Gen Zs, So to me, it's, I wish that I knew that the whole piece about what I wish for is not what they wish for. My dreams are not their dreams.
Yeah.
What I want in life is not what they want in life. And if I knew that because of age, cultural, whatever, other, roots you want to put in that, I wish I would have just enjoyed life the way to enjoy it, without thinking of, am I going to be a good parent? Am I going to be a good whatever? Because they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No matter, just like our number one with the failure thing.
Right.
We can try to make the road as less rocky, as less bumpy for them, but whether it's friendships, even with its friendships, like your expectations of somebody may not necessarily be how they want that friendship to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I wish that I would have known, is what I want is different from what other people want. What I see is different from what other people see. It's just different. Yeah.
We grow up differently. We come from different backgrounds. So it's good to understand, because sometimes we think, oh, why don't they want that? I want that.
Yeah. And even in the recipes, I mean, just taking it so out of context, and even in the recipes, like how I make my ramen soup
funny.
is different from how Ely, and we're both Asian, is gonna make her ramen.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's, so I guess, you know, going back to your number 2 is think more about us individually.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I mean, that to me is what we're kind of resonating towards, you know?
Right. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Number 4. Any advice? Did I ask you? No, you asked me.
I asked. Uh-oh. Is this the Gen X,
Anyway.
Gen Z we're forgetting?
Well, I'll just
Or-
ask.
Yeah.
Any advice on traveling or moving away to a different country? Anything that shocked you, or funny stories may have happened to you while traveling. So anything,
Yeah.
any advice on traveling or moving away to a different country?
This is an interesting question.
Yeah, because both of us, you know, kind of are, well, both of us are immigrants, number one. And then you moved there, then came back. I moved from Philippines to Canada to here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, you answer first.
Well, it's interesting because I moved back to Taiwan for a few years after I was born here, but I don't remember that aspect of it. So I'll talk a little bit about traveling to another country, which is Taiwan, and then moving away in general. I think the general aspect of moving away. So 2 pieces. Traveling to Taiwan was interesting. I remember in my late 20s, I went there. And just culturally, it's different, right? Every country is different. So kind of being mindful of different countries was a big thing. I remember specifically, it was around December, holiday time. I was sick. I was coughing. And I went over to my cousin's house. They were having a family gathering. It was like a holiday, Christmas-y type thing. I went over there and I was just coughing, talking to them and coughing, right? And my cousin looks at me. She was kind of looking at me the whole time, but she finally had the courage to say something to me. And she said, "You're coughing. Why aren't you wearing a mask?" And I'm like, "What? Why?" I didn't even think of that concept, honestly, because in the United States, if you're cold, if you have a cold, you spread it to everybody. you wear that mask. You don't wear a mask, right? And if you, so I didn't.
We're not. Anyways, keep going.
Well, you just don't wear that mask, right? Like you don't think about the other person in that aspect. Yes, you care about them. Yes, you love them. But culturally, you don't think about that.
Right.
I didn't think about that. And I'm like, what's wrong? I didn't know I was supposed to wear a mask. But in Taiwan and many Asian countries, heads up if you ever go there, if you're sick, it's respectful. It's a sign of respect, cultural respect, for you to wear a mask, because they think that if you have something, you don't want to give it to somebody else, right? So I love that perspective. This was before COVID. This was before COVID ever happened that I learned this. So
which is also why they have all those cute masks all over Asia. Like, seriously, they have all the cute masks in the world.
Yes. It's pollution and because of the if you're sick too. Right. Sometimes pollution too.
The pollution.
Yes.
It's very polluted. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be polluted.
And there's also so many people there.
Yes.
Like the billions of people as opposed to the millions of people here, you know?
Right, exactly. So that was one of the cultural things that I learned. If you ever have a cold in one of the Asian countries, wear a mask as a sign of respect. I didn't know that. And as far as traveling away and moving to a different country, I think a lot of people want to move away and find themselves. And I found this for me in my 20s. I said, I'm going to move away to Nashville and I'm going to just be happier. I'm going to be happy there. That's what's going to give me happiness. And what did I do? You probably can see it. I moved there, and probably like within 6 months or so, I moved back. And I didn't find that happiness there. I had to work on that happiness piece, but I thought that I could find it somewhere else, like doing something, moving somewhere. And I was like, I'm still the same person. I just had to work on myself through that. But what about you?
So with me, I moved from, as you all know, episode 1 and 2, but I moved from the Philippines when I was way young, like 6 years old, 7 years old, I think it was, to Canada. And so, and the whole family, migrated there, and then moved to Florida when I was 12. To me, there's always the respect piece, right? Respecting, because I'm going into two different, from one culture to another into another, right? So there's always the respect what is there, okay? Like, no, I don't intend for them, because I hear it all the time. Speak this, speak that, you know? Yeah, so there's the respect piece, because I truly, truly believe part of being Gen X and living through all these years is they'll respect you if you respect them. So to me, the whole respect piece is there in whatever country you're from and in whatever culture or whatever community you're in. There's the respect piece, the trading. But at the same time, growing up, I always, because it was hard for me to really see anybody that was Asian. I'm always that token Asian, in the country, in the community that I moved in. So to me, I wanted all the time to be like them. But I'm not them, I'm me.
Right.
And now that I'm older, and part of the reason for this podcast is I want to be that voice of me, look at me as an Asian. So instead of you trying so hard, I guess my answer is, instead of you trying so hard to be like them, rejoice and celebrate your originality, me being me being the only gray hair Asian, woman in my community, that, and, in Gainesville and whatnot. It's just, I like that. I like be representing me.
Yeah.
Representing the more rare,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being yourself in that aspect, because I think we always want to be different and do different things. And you're right, the respect thing is important when you move to a different country or traveling to a different country. So what I do now is I'll look up certain etiquette, cultural etiquettes, so I don't accidentally offend someone. Doesn't mean I won't, but it will be more likely that I won't if I look up some of them to show respect.
Right.
All right, next question. Any advice on adjusting to change? Change in personal lives, change in mindset, or even societal changes, expectations of you as a young Asian American woman?
And I think I kind of said that a little bit in the last question. I mean, just be you, but at the same time, again, there's the respect piece. I'm Asian, I'm Filipino, I'm going into another country, in another community, another place, and I'm like, well, speak Filipino. No, no. I have to adjust somewhat. I mean, I can still be me, authentically me, and show people and teach somebody about me being Asian and me being Filipino, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I expect them, I want them to embrace me and not me in any way make them so awkward that I push them out either. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm answering that question. I think that I can teach about myself while I adjust a little bit also to them, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think about our personalities, right? It goes back to our personalities being very, very different, and we're adjusting to each other in that sense, and also respecting each other's differences too, because that's a big thing. I think when we understand each other in any area of life, then we can have a little bit more compassion. We can have a little bit more kindness and just have that respect for each other, no matter our differences, kind of thing. So yeah, good. And then for me, I think change it's very similar to another question that we had earlier in my head, but first being open to change.
Yes.
I think you're really open to change too, with feedback. Like you said, I wish I would have did this differently. And I think sometimes change can feel hard for people because you're like, oh, it's change. I didn't plan it, so I don't want it to change. I only want the change that I planned, the surprise, good things, right? But when we know that change is inevitable, when we realize like, hey, change is a good thing overall, right? It's a good thing. Think about going back to phones. Gen Zs, I don't know if you've ever heard, but at one point we were using phones that were connected to the wall. Can you believe that? But what happened? Someone had a thought that there was a better change for that phone, right? And now we use cell phones, and think about it. We do everything on our cell phones basically these days. So
Everything.
Going from a corded phone connected to the wall, you can't go anywhere, to a
You know, I
cell
still
phone.
have my phone, my cord phone, the
Bring
one that's
it in.
attached. I'm gonna bring it in.
Or take a picture of
It's
it. We'll
red.
put it in there. That's great.
But yeah.
Yes. So for any Gen Zs who have never seen it or heard it, but yes, change is inevitable. So embrace it. Learning to embrace the changes and know that it's part of life too.
Yeah, and which takes me to takes us to the end of the episode. But what I want you all to think about is, based on what Ely said, the quote that I love so much is that when things become too comfortable, then you're not learning anymore.
I love that.
You know, and I love that quote because
Yeah.
it is so true.
Yeah.
It is so true. So don't get too comfortable.
Yes.
Follow-
Get outside your comfort
Get outside
zone.
your comfort zone.
Yes.
Follow us, please, on our socials. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and of
YouTube.
course here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and that notification bell, ding ding. And
We'll see you next time.
see you next time.
Part
And
one.
Part one. We'll continue this, whatever this is.
Be on the lookout.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.